Hello and welcome to Kickstarter Talk. I am Mr. Anderson, the voice of Written Sins, and today we're going to have an exciting first look at our first ever interactive Kickstarter list, possibly ever. I've never seen anyone do that before. So you know those lists that you see all over, like the 15 mistakes that this movie made or the 10 things you didn't know about this character? Generally speaking, those are pretty much an interesting way to get things around. And as you can see, it's a little widget here. I'm showing you the back end of our site. So it's an interesting new way of us being able to bring you content. So basically, what it's going to wind up doing is it's going to give us this roll down. Now, you can actually put this on your Facebook pages, and it'll redirect it not to our site, but to another site, or as you can see on our site, it's going to host it here. And remember to sign up for, if you haven't already, our mailing list by coming over here and become one of the 16,806 sinners. And there's just more being added every day. So don't get left behind not knowing what's going on. So basically, here's our cover page. This is going to be finally a list with all current Kickstarters in it. How freaking cool. So this week, we have our featured Kickstarter to back, which is the Grand Machine. So the Grand Machine... everything you know is a lie. Uncover the truth in the Grand Machine. Frank Billings is a true crime writer trying to find the perfect follow-up to his bestseller, Diary of a Madman, and been having the most difficult time between the stresses of a recent divorce and a daughter who has a knack for getting into trouble. Frank hasn't been having the easiest time, haven't had the easiest of times. So when his mob contact, Gene, arranges a meeting between Frank and Bob, a former secret agent and now a bit unhinged, some might say downright batshit insane, in an attempt to pay an old debt. Now, Frank is on a crazy adventure involving aliens, murder, mutants, and alternate realities that has him wondering, is this all worth it? Fantastic one. Could use support. We can take a quick look, and this is why we're doing it this way this week. Going to pop it up. See, all this is interactive. So you want to hit the titles. Every one of these titles will take you somewhere. So if you're on your phone looking at this, just hit the title. You go here. We got 38 backers, 20 days to go, 877 in the bank on 2,800 budget. Definitely worth checking out. Let's just take a quick look at some of the art. See how fantastic this art is. I really am someone who believes that this should be something that is shared to all your friends. You guys should back it. Remember, it only takes $1. I'm letting you just soak in some of the rewards too as we're going down. So this does have some very interesting rewards. This is just one of those very interesting stories. And the art is there. It's definitely an amazing tale. You guys really should be backing this one. The creators have nailed an interesting story plot just from what they're showing on Kickstarter. So check it out. I guarantee you it's going to be worth $1. Here, Josh Gorfan, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry, Josh, and Francesco are the creative team behind it. This is definitely something to check out. I don't want to spend all our time on this, but do check it out. It's going to be our featured Kickstarter of the week. You can see the art's there. The story is amazing. Definitely interesting. Please, please check it out. Take my word for it. That's why we pick these, because we think they're worth it. So please do check it out. Back to the list. We're going to support the R4AU and the Autistic Jedi with this patch to show support. I got to change that. That's just a typo for me. This is the patches that you can get via contacting the link inside here. And that's going to be right here. We'll show the information for those who are watching live. Here's all the information. There's still probably less than 50 now, obviously, but there are $8 US and $9 international. That includes shipping. Send it through the PayPal account, and you just include all that information. You could have a cool patch. I have my patch away at the moment because I was actually rearranging my my little space here in the living room, so I don't have it readily available, but it's really cool, and I'm going to be very proud to have it with me at every Comic-Con I go to support the cause. Moving on, we have a 128-page trade paperback of the cult series Back to the Future meets Inglorious Bastards with pregnant ladies. Now, right away, if you're like me, you're like, pregnant women fighting a war? That's odd, and that's kind of cool about it. It's definitely worth taking a look at. It's brand new. It's plenty of time. We're going to be talking about it for a couple weeks. Definitely take a look at it now. This might be something we showcase because I do think it's very creative and very inventive. So, I mean, take the time, take a look at it, and, you know, back it if you can. Remember, $1 means everything. So here we have an Indiegogo campaign. Well, very few do we see on comics on there, but they do go. We have Lowlife and Broken. You can get both of these issues. It's digital only unless you go to the higher tiers. So they're doing digital only for these two books. I've gotten Lowlife one. The art in it's insane. It's an interesting story. Lowlife and Broken, we'll go over them right now. Lowlife is about a man once a villain who fights to regain his memories and find some symbionts of who he once was. His nature is unchanged as he picks up fragments of who he was in this second installment in the series. Interesting amnesia, and yet he walks around with a pretty hot slave, which is interesting because last issue she wasn't wearing clothing, so there are definitely changes happening with him. Broken is a story about a young warrior who left her family to pursue a life as a mercenary in the wasteland. Upon returning home, she finds out her parents are dead and her shanty town under a great threat. So, you know, that's definitely going to be some shit going on when you come home after being a badass, find out someone's taken over your home, the place you're probably coming back to escape from the harshness of the outside world. Definitely an interesting concept, book worth reading. Number 5, finally a card set to celebrate indie comic creators' creations. And this is amazing. If you haven't backed this, then you're insane and you're not an indie comic book fan. It's just that simple. If you're not backing this project, you are no longer allowed to call yourself an indie comic book fan. It's just that simple. This is literally helping indie comic creators get their stuff out there. The set's up to 200 cards. It's insane. Written Sins was doing, you all know the creators cards, and we weren't even close to where they were. We were going to do this similar thing. We backed off. We're letting them do it because they're honestly doing a fantastic job and there doesn't need to be competition. So I'm telling you, this is something you need to be part of if you dare call yourself an indie comic book fan. If you're not part of this, then I can't look at you as an indie comic book fan. I'm sorry. It's going to be one of the things I ask from now on. If people say, oh, I'm an indie comic book fan, I'm like, did you back the indie comic cards? So, you know, no pressure, but if you want to keep calling yourself an indie comic book fan, you better back it. Just saying. The Autism Speaks Atlanta Walk. So, again, we're going to be talking a little bit about autism this month. Is Autism Awareness Month. That's why Written Sins went blue on the sides here. And we will be going back to not being blue as soon as the Autism Month is over. Not that we're trying to rush it, but this is just a big deal that we changed our color because I like it being black. I actually miss it already, but with that said, we're having, you know, definitely want to support fantastic cause as autism research, as we'll see right here. It's very easy. Melissa, who does write for our site, does do an author thing. As you can see, I've supported it using writtensins.com. So, you know, we're $50 from the goal. So, you know, guys, get on it. Help us make this happen. She's walking to raise funds for the mission of Autism Speaks to fuel the initiative research and make connections to critical lifelong support and services for the autistic communities. Please support Melissa by donating and help her meet her fundraising goals. And you too can join the team and make an impact for people living with autism. As I've said, autism is one of those things that are on the rise. Whether we like it or not, it's going to be something that's going to be affecting us all in one way or another, whether our children are meeting autistic, other kids who are autistic, or our families themselves have someone who's autistic. These are challenges we have to meet as a group called humans. And this is something that we can't keep treating autistic people like they're damaged. They're not. They're human beings. They might need a little extra energy and a little extra effort. And that's what this is about, learning how we can give that extra effort and energy to help out people outside of ourselves. So please do take the time, check it out, get a patch, donate, even $1. Once again, $1 matters. So if you have $1 for coffee, give it here and skip the cup of coffee. Drink some water. Nice guys might finish last, but sometimes they get the last laugh. In our number 7 spot for Bare Bones, Nice Guys finished dead 1. basically, this just joined our countdown. We talked about it a little last week. It's basically the idea of a kid who gets bullied, gets killed, and comes back for revenge. It's not a new story. It's something we've seen in the past, and it's something that is always generally exciting to see the bully get the shit kicked out of him. Let's be honest. This is something I've already backed. I'm excited to see it. And we'll even take, this is how excited I am. We're going to take a second. I know we're not going to make the 15 minutes we're supposed to, but we're going to take a second. We're going to quickly just give it a look. I mean, they are currently at $349 at a $1,600 budget. So it needs your support. It needs you guys to get motivated. Get on Kickstarter. Look this up. Get on writtensins.com right now. This is all in the Kickstarter's Talk tab. You can support these characters, bring these worlds to life. I do think that bullying has become an epidemic. We live in a culture where suddenly if you defend yourself against a bully, kids get suspended. So we haven't figured out how to deal with bullies. So stories like this, I think, are kind of important, especially if it helps us begin to discuss how to handle the culture of bullying that we've allowed around us. So with that said, running out of time, we'll get back to this next week. Give it a look. Next week, I'll be talking to you more about it. Number 8, we have WWE Meets Superheroes with the seasoning of Spartacus. That's right. That's how jam-packed this is. The reason it's seasoning of Spartacus is that no one's actually a slave in this, and it's not a Roman Empire. But there is a gladiatorial feel to these matches. They're almost all out. It's like if Marvel just did matches. And DC touched upon this at one point with Wildcat and fighting that. And Supergirl had that episode recently this season where people with powers fighting each other. It's also always fascinating. You get a whole new list of characters. Fantastic guy named Markel Dupree's behind this. Good friend of mine. Excellent writer. I've loved everything he wrote. This is definitely something to back. If you haven't backed it already, you're missing out. This isn't even one of those things I'll tell you have to do it. So I'll just laugh at you and tell you you're missing out because it's really that good. They've already made their goal. I mean, I don't get it if you're not backing this. Like, you must not like wrestling and must not like fun comic books. Just saying, that must be your thing. Maybe there's like a My Little Pony thing I can run for you guys. But if you do like kick-ass comic books, you know, this is a no-brainer. Moving on to number 9, we have a comprehensive and chronological adaptation of the 4 Gospels of the Bible within a single storytelling of the life of Christ. So basically, I know this is about religion, and I know people get touchy about religion, but I do think that, you know, Scott, the creator behind it, he's a great guy. He's a great creator. He's a very honest person about his faith, and I think this is a wonderful project. I believe I was the first person to back it. I was excited to see it. So, I mean, just give it a look. If religion's your thing, this is definitely the Kickstarter. This is not something that I would tell anyone they have to or mock a person who doesn't do it. I get it's a choice. But it is a solid story, and it's a great artist. So do at least give it a look. And remember, sometimes when you don't like something or you don't think you will, it's good to challenge yourself and see if maybe it will be something you like. Because maybe you can expand your own horizons. Just something to think about. Moving on, we have, just give me 1 second. I just want to check in with our YouTube audience. Just make sure everything's going good. Okay. For anyone who doesn't know, we do this on Facebook and YouTube, so I just like to check in with YouTube sometimes. And right there, I had to go to window. But back to it at number 10, we have this Kickstarter's Nuclear Warhead. Now, Warhead is made by Kristen Kunstman, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Began creating Warhead in September 2013. It's the notion that has been taking root 2 years prior. Warhead concerns Adam, misanthropic American graffiti artist living in London, England. So it sounds interesting. It's definitely a little trippy. It's not your basic comic book. It's got great art. We might be featuring this one next week. So stay tuned. Give it a look. Definitely worth time. Judges a supernatural demon-killing action series. Now, if you notice, this is all on one page and it seamlessly loads. I love it because it's not actually hosted on WrittenSins. It's hosted on another site. And you get to actually stream it without any problems, no lags. It won't slow your processor down because this is all basically a theme now on a different site. So this doesn't even affect your viewing process on WrittenSins. So I think it's fantastic that way. So Judges, back to that, is a comic book written by Ben Miller and drawn by Corey Hamster. Is the story of 3 modern-day heroes. Those heroes are Sean Farner, Marshall Dillon, and Thomas Manson, with Julio Guerrero are bringing this together with 3 modern day heroes, which I have. I don't have their names right now, and we're running a little low on time, so we're just going to take a quick look, just quick look, and we'll see if we can get that to load really quick, and see if we can't find the names of the characters. It's fantastic art. I've got to read it. It's on my reading list right now. This is something I'm definitely backing. You can hear my son's going a little crazy right now in the background. I can't see it right now, and we're running out of time. I'll make sure next week we catch it. Judges, though, is worth the time and energy. A truly unique look at the struggles of life. I've got to put in look there when I edit this a little later, but that should have said unique look at the struggles of life. Something simple to fix. Honestly, this is one of those things that when I went into reading it, it kind of is a downer in a way, but it lifts you up at the same time. It's got a grittiness to it that's important, and it's in a self-examining type of thing, and it's worth it. Trust me, I read the whole thing and I gave it a raving review. It's worth it. And I believe they've already funded. So, I mean, it's happening. It's already going to be coming your way. So it's not going to be for everyone. I'll be honest with you. Some people might find this a little harsh and a little hard to read. But with that in mind, I definitely suggest giving it a look. It's got a great team behind it. It's Welcome to Greek Kickstarter campaign. It's an 84 anthology of short stories about the struggles and hopes for comic book fans. So it's definitely worth a look. Moving on, just because we're running out of time, we're always going to mention the Veterans' Wives. Support the Veteran Wives by sharing posts, writing an article for a magazine, joining the writing staff, buy yourself, a friend of magazine, subscribe to the magazine, comic book sponsor, and or automatic updates are getting in the way of some things right now. That's wonderful. 1 second. All right, it's apparently a Microsoft update, so we'll get to that later. Website, resources, magazines, and caregivers. Number 14, we have the Alien Ghosts, and Foxy Suit makes this Kickstarter back. Basic ideas: the runaway symbiotic organisms from a different planet called Defleon crash to Earth in search of a good time. So it looks like a funny comic books. Not everything's got to be serious, and this one definitely looks like it's got a good sense of humor. Number 15, The Curse of the Witch Island. A wannabe pirate and his best friend are tricked by a witch into resurrecting the famous black pirate and his skeleton crew. So what is Ghostly Tides? Ghostly Tides issue 1 follows the story of wannabe pirate Finn, his friend Sam, and Bird Chirp. After failing to become a pirate at the annual Pirates Trial, Finn is tricked by a witch and accidentally resurrects Notorious Black Pirate and his skeleton crew. Now he is racing his time to save everyone from the undead pirate army. Rawr. Definitely looks interesting. Looks like a fun time. Finally, we're ending tonight with number 16. Remember to check out writtensins.com daily for new exciting content, which is true. Kickstarter updates, indie news, art of the day, new Kickstarters, added weekly, and so much more. So make sure to subscribe to writtensins.com so you don't miss a single post. This has been Rob Anderson, the voice of Written Sins, reminding you to back a Kickstarter, even if by just $1. Skip a coffee and you can put $1 to $3. All right, guys, we'll talk next week at the next meeting of the Kickstarter Talk. We'll see you then.